Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Laurie, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started!
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I'm your host, Laurie Plow. So glad that you are joining me. So if you're listening to this in real time, it is like the middle of March. And I'm saying it like wah, 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 because where we are in the Northeast, it has been rainy and gray for what seems like an eternity. And everyone I talk to is in a funk. Everyone I talk to is like not feeling motivated to do anything. Everyone wants to just stay in bed or just chill in their house. And I get it. I have been struggling with it the same. I mean, I can't even take my dog out for a walk because it has been so gray and gross. Now, obviously, if you're in like sunny California or somewhere else in the country or even the world and it is sunny and beautiful, you might not be able to relate to this. But if you can relate, the struggle's real, people. And so I thought it'd be fitting to do an episode for today on how to stay on track when you don't feel like it. And this episode, I'm just going on record, people, is just as much for me as it is for you. And whether that means you are struggling with doing work, whether it means that you're struggling to exercise, eat right, declutter your house, whatever that looks like, start a new task or new project, it is really, really hard to be motivated and keep that momentum going when when you're not feeling like it. Before we get into some of the strategies, I'm coming up with 5 strategies that you guys can walk away with to think about and do, not just think about, but also do to help you with whatever you are struggling with right now. But before we get into it, I think it's really important that we just acknowledge that getting motivated and then staying motivated can be tough. And that applies whether you are decluttering a closet or doing a project for work or just anything in your life. We all have moments where we would rather be doing something else. And sometimes that something else might mean binging Netflix on the couch. So I'm here for it. But what I figured we could do is walk through 5 actionable strategies to help you stay on track, even in the toughest of days. So let's get to it. All right. Strategy number 1 is we're going to set really, really clear goals. And what does that mean? So when we're feeling unmotivated, it is very easy to get overwhelmed by the enormity of whatever our task is. And so if we can break them into smaller chunks, more manageable steps, it will help us to not seem like this thing is just kind of out there. So having those specific action steps of I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and have it really laid out of not just where the finish line is, but what the steps you're going to take to get there are, allows you to just put one foot in front of the other, just one step at a time. And I think that's really, really important because oftentimes we're like, oh, I have to do the thing, which let's say you were going to write a book and you're like, I have to write a book. Instead of doing that, just go, I have to write 300 words, or I have to write a chapter, or I'm going to declutter my house. No, you don't. You have to declutter one space. You have to just do the thing. You have to pay these bills, whatever that looks like for you. Just be very clear in the steps, what your goals are, and have that deadline, right? Have that deadline as part of your goal. I want to have this done by, because I think a lot of times we have that open-ended kind of like it's just kind of floating out there in space, it's hard for us to then say, all right, I'm going to put my feet to the fire. So, in part of your goal planning is, excuse me, setting some actionable deadlines for yourself. Okay. Strategy number two, we're going to create visual reminders or a visual prompt for you. Now, listen, guys, I'm not a big vision board person. Let's be honest, never have been. It's a little woo woo for me. For all you vision board people out there, I'm here for it. No shame at all. But there is something to be said for having what it is that you are working towards, like somewhere visual for you to see it. So if you are decluttering your space, have a picture of what that decluttered room would look like, whether that's something that you grabbed off of Pinterest, or maybe you had this once before. If you are trying to lose weight, maybe there's a picture of you that is your like inspiration pic of like, I'm trying to get to this. And so you want to have that up somewhere where you can see it. Or maybe you are trying to, train for a marathon and you want to have some, a countdown, or you want to have some sort of, visual thing of like, this is where I am in my training plan. Having something visual that is get you out of your mind and like actually looking at what the potential is for you helps to improve our motivation. Okay. Strategy number three, find an accountability partner. Talked about this a million times before, and I'm going to keep talking about it. There is something to be said. I don't care who you are, to having some sort of accountability partner, whether that is somebody that you pay, like a trainer or a professional, or it is somebody that you bring along for the ride, like a friend that says, hey, we're going to work out together, or I'm going to declutter my space for an hour and you're going to declutter yours. Or we're both trying to build a business and we're each going to spend, a couple hours working on, our marketing or whatever it is that you're doing. So again, this doesn't have to be exclusive for organizing space. This can be anything in your life. Or, hey, let's all meal plan together, or let's meal prep together, or let's share recipes. Accountability partners can look different to everybody. And sometimes your accountability partner doesn't even have to be somebody that you are like connecting with in real life. It could be listening to a podcast, reading a book, subscribing to a blog, following somebody on social media that you get like every day and you get a tip from them, or something that is going to prompt you to want to take that next step, take that next action item. So, whatever that accountability looks like for you, whether it is somebody in real life, whether it's a paid coach or trainer, whether that is all you need is some extra boost by, for me, sometimes I'll just listen to a podcast and I'll be like, yes, I got to get back on the wagon and do this. Whatever that looks like for you, get that accountability going on a regular basis. And so it really helps if you get somebody who has a shared goal or has been where you are and knows what it is that you're working through, and so that they can talk to you in real practical terms and understand where you might be hitting a roadblock and work through that with you is super, super important to help increase your progress and encourage you along the way. Okay. Strategy number 4, focus on the why. You know that I am all about the why, people. Why we do things is so, so important to figuring out like the best strategy for us, because everybody's unique motivation for wanting to do something is going to impact how we execute it. And it also is really important for us to remember when we are in a funk to come back to that why. If you have that why clearly defined and things are like maybe not going your way, and I know that this happens a lot when I talk to professional organizers or people that are trying to build their business. and they're frustrated because things aren't progressing as quickly as they want, or maybe they're not attracting the clients that they want, and they're just kind of beating themselves up about it. I always say, come back to your why. Why are you doing this? Why did you start this business? What is it about this that was, you know, made you decide that this is something that you want to do? You wanted to impact people's lives. You wanted to have flexibility in your schedule. You wanted it. And we go down all of these lists of things. And then you can demand evidence of, are you doing all those things? Are you staying true to what your why is? And if you can answer yes, even if you're in a funk because there are other things that are kind of, again, roadblocking you, then it can give you um a sense of accomplishment, a sense of peace, and a sense of not feeling so much like a failure. And I think that goes true in anything. So when it comes to your home, maybe you want to declutter your home because you want to create more peace and harmony. Maybe it is that you're working on a project that aligns with your values or your passions. Whatever your reasons, it's really important to keep reminding yourself of the why behind your goals. And that in and of itself can oftentimes reignite your motivation and keep you focused on the big picture. And that's really what we're trying to do. All right. Strategy number 5, we're going to practice self compassion. So remember, it's really important to be kind to yourself, especially on days when you're feeling less than motivated. We all have off days and we're only human. And the thing of it is, you don't have to be 100% all the time. I say this, it's a running joke where I work out, that I'm like a solid, I'll walk in, I'll be like, I'm a solid 30% today. And guess what? That's fine, because 30% is still better than 0%. So start to be kind to yourself. And if you have an off day or an off few days and you're just kind of in a funk and you're not feeling motivated, instead of continuing to beat yourself up, just stand up, dust yourself off, and set a realistic expectation of what you can do today. There's no award that you're going to get for beating yourself up. So show yourself a little bit of grace. And this is also a great way to lead by example, because if we've got other people watching us, specifically our kids, and we're beating ourselves up for not working out or not, again, working on a work project that we said that we were going to do, or not decluttering a space, or keeping up with something, and we're just sitting there self-shaming and hating on ourselves, that is not solving the problem. It is not being or doing anything constructive. Instead, go, okay, here's where I've been. Here's where I am. What can I do? What small little steps, going back to our first strategy, what can I do to kind of get myself out of that? And just go, you know what? Maybe I needed a little couple days off to recharge. Maybe I needed to step away. Any type of progress is better than no progress. So just like my 30% rule at the gym, if you can just do a little bit, it's better than if you didn't do anything at all. Every step forward brings you that much closer to your goals. And so the key when you are in a funk or when you are not feeling motivated is finding what works for you and just adapting to that. So you don't have to succumb to it, but you just have to say, honor that. In this season, I'm finding things a little bit hard. And so I'm going to maybe take my foot off the gas in this season and lean in somewhere else. Or maybe I'm going to redefine what my goals are and say maybe they're just a little too ambitious for where I am right now. And if you have to have a tough love conversation with yourself, or you need somebody to have that tough love conversation because you feeling like you have been in this funk for too long, that's okay too, whether it's seeking a professional help or having a conversation with somebody. But oftentimes, when we are find that we're not motivated to do things, we may be using a strategy that doesn't always align with who we are. So we're not setting ourselves up for success. So it's also okay to say, hey, maybe I need to try a different strategy. If I know that I want to hit this goal, maybe the way I've been approaching it isn't working. Or maybe it was working for a time, but now it's not. So it's okay to say, I need to shake things up a little bit. I need to readjust, reevaluate, realign, all the re's. It's okay to do that. And we often hold ourselves to this really unattainable standard that is unrealistic for most people to uphold. So what I'm saying is honor where you are. A lot of times there is so much truth to just that seasonal affective disorder and just not having the sun and not being able to go outside and do things. And that affects all of the things in our lives, from organization to working out to being productive in our businesses. And it's easier for us to want to say, you know what, I'm just going to wave the white flag and give up. And I'm here to say, don't do that. Just reevaluate, lower the bar a little bit, and you can always raise it when you come out of it, but just readjust and have a little self-compassion for yourself. So I hope that this episode has been a little bit helpful for you wherever you are. If you are struggling, if you're not struggling and you're crushing it, I am here for it. And we would love to hear that too. But I know that there are people out there that really could use some guidance and some help readjusting. And so if that's you, I have opened up my calendar for any type of coaching right now, whether it's clutter coaching and you need some help in that organization area of your life, or maybe it's some business coaching. And that's specifically a lot of the work that I do is for people in the professional organizing space and helping them really figure out, what does this next season of my business look like? Or what do I want it to be? And helping them flush that out. So I'm going to drop a link in the show notes for you. You can also just go on our website to simplybeorganized.com and click on the Work With Me tab, and you can just book a strategy session right from there. But if you're interested in getting some additional support and your own accountability partner, I am here and I would love to be able to help you out. So until next week, I am your host, Laurie Plow, and I will see you then for another episode of This Organized Life. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simplythelletterBorganized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.